who are not allowed to use the toilets in the flat itself. They have to go down to the common toilet. So these kind of mindsets are still prevailing, and about the lack of knowledge of where a person comes from, that has been eliminated to a certain extent with the Aadhaar cards and so on, which is you have to compulsorily deposit. But in spite of that, in certain localities, in spite of the police appealing to the people that if you engage somebody, please take the details and give us the details too. People do not do that still. So we are guilty of that in any case.
And also, they see, when I go and tell the police officer, I tell him in a certain way which is very defensive. That no, we have an extra room, but there was another servant boy, that boy kind of stole certain things. He was not a good servant. So I say it in a guilty way. I generalize Palan with any servant. I don't say that there was a bad guy because of we had a so that fellow was bad. But we could have given it to Palan. Now Mamata also later on justifies sitting in that same room, Palan was also becoming a bad person. He was also becoming a bad person.
But coming to the generalization and taking a cue from the word that you use, there is a generalization in the mindset also that if in a household like this, some item goes missing, you might have misplaced it yourself, but the first needle of suspicion will go towards that domestic help that that person has taken it. And this still exists, this kind of thing.
And it happens in my house. Because one of my domestic help blames the other. I said, have you seen that thing? I'm sure that was it. He never said, Dada, you would have kept somewhere. I'm sure that is the guy. So it's domestic help thing. So everybody thinks it's a weird world we live in.
We are all weird. There's another question from the lady there. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead. Oh yeah, the gentleman there.
It's actually more of a wondering or kind of something that I have been pondering on. It is the fact that at least halfway through the film, what I think Miran Sen has done is that he has questioned, of course, the crisis of the middle class, which involves him as well as the others. But what I really found interesting is that he kind of made it probably look like a kind of a satire, in the sense that when the boy died, when Palan first died, we did not really have any kind of a connection with the character. But then suddenly, at least 15-20 minutes after that incident, we suddenly get that glimpse of Palan and his own son on the rooftop, where Palan is maybe laying the blanket on the roof and then playing around or whatever, doing some of the household chores. And then there's this sudden, tendency to, okay, fine, you people do not know Palan that well, so here are some scenes where you can grow a little familiar with Palan and maybe sympathize with his death a little more. But overall, it's still a kind of alienated situation, and as the police officer also told that it's an unnatural death and all of that. So that's just kind of the question that I have.
Well, is that a question? Because it is done deliberately, because initially you're not supposed to also empathize. You're also supposed to be stunned, shocked a little bit, and slowly, I mean, that is what we thought, and Allah told us that this is the way He wanted us to think also, that slowly, as the characters or as the family develops a certain kind of guilt and feeling that we have done something wrong with a little innocent boy, then he shows us that. Then the audience also should identify and feel good, this is a nice, sweet boy, as sweet as his own son. So that is why in the beginning you're not supposed to, he didn't want the audience to in the beginning be shocked, just shocked, but not very empathetic towards Palan. The empathy comes slowly as the film progresses. And this bit comes when we already have felt guilty and we already feel that shit, he was like our son.
See, at the beginning, you get the impression that this incident has taken place the very next day, right? It's later on that you realize, can't I be heard?
Yeah.
Hello, we are used to a classroom with 200 people. Right. No, but what I said, but it's later on that we realized that he has been working already for a year. And this thing which you pointed out, these scenes of Palan doing all those activities, I would even attribute it to the thought process of Momota thinking back when she's feeling guilty that she gets these images, look at that, how nice that boy was playing with our child, and so on and so forth. These I would attribute as images that she is getting, and through that, the audience is made to understand also that during that 1 year, that's the way he has been behaving in that household. Yes, there were a couple of more questions in front. Yes, there. Go ahead. Go ahead. Where's the microphone?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
But is it a question or a comment?
No question.
Question. Please go ahead.
Why?
Why the film titled Courage? I mean, the significance of the title.
I think I did mention this while I was talking, that the whole thing is like an investigation in a court case, you see. You're trying to put the facts together, and then at the beginning there is a blame game that which points towards the fact that you're trying to find the culprit. Who is the culprit? Yeah? And then it seems that the culprit would be the person who did not extinguish the oven at night. But then there's not sufficient evidence that is placed to that effect, and that's why the case is closed. Courage. That's why you use them.
It's a legal term actually.
Yeah.
It's a legal term which writer or Ramapada Babu used in the beginning. It's Ramapada Babu's title. It's a legal term. It's like saying the case is closed. It's only after the case is closed you discover who is the murderer. It's the story is almost there. It's over, finished. After it's finished, you start probing. Rather than you probe and find the culprit, after the case is closed, we find the culprit.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, one or two more questions, maximum two more. Let's say because otherwise we might start switching off the lights here. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
In this film, few characters named Anjan sir, Sheila ma'am, Mamata Shankar ma'am are actual real. Is there any reason behind it?
What do you think? What do you think? Why are we being called by our own names? Is because he's trying to say we are those people.
That is the middle class he was addressing. He said, you be yourself.
Achha.
What is your name?
My name is John Viswas. I am from.
Okay. So if you would have been passerby somewhere in the film, he would have called you Joy. So also it is Mrinal's sense story. That is why our titles are set.
Thanks, sir.
Yes. You're there.
You?
This is for Anjan sir. Actually, we have observed in the movie that Haran, the character of Haran, has been portrayed more or less as a passive character who is prone to accept his fate silently. The death of his youngest son Palan, in a way that can't be compensated in any way. Okay. And at the end of the movie, we see that he leaves the house where his son once used to work in a most silent manner, without raising any voice of protest. So, as a filmmaker, I just want to ask, as you are a filmmaker, what do you expect to see the difference in terms of psychology on the part of the character of Haran? If that character was placed in the light of today's world, would he have reacted in the same way? Would he have reacted in the same meek manner, in the same silent manner, in the way he has reacted decades ago?
See, every film is about a filmmaker's vision of the world. When Satyajit Ray makes Opu leave the village, he wants to say something in Aparajito. Right? His mother is dead. মা মারা গেছে, yet the boy does not shave his head. He picks up his bag, he goes to the station, and he takes the train. He comes back to the city, he comes back to knowledge, he comes back to going forward. He doesn't go and cry for his mother. Now, you might say Satyajit Ray is heartless. He's a heartless filmmaker. You might say Satyajit Ray is promoting modernism. You might say anything. But a film is about a filmmaker's vision, irrespective of time. Of course, it is related to time. I think if Mrinal Sen would have made this film today, or made a similar kind of film today, he would have shown the oppressed, the people who have suffered, he would have showed them as more with dignity. He wouldn't have showed them as rebellion, rebels. He would not have. Because it is his way of looking at the world.
I have a different answer to your question. You said, how will it be if it is today? Yeah? If it had been today, then this character Ranjan would have offered a compensation. There would have been a bargaining. He would have taken the compensation and gone home.
That is what I told you. That is what I told you. What?
The relevance of film always matters.
Yes, but what I'm saying is it depends on the filmmaker. What the filmmaker wants to say. Perhaps if you would have made it or somebody else would have made it, they would have all gone up and beaten the shit out of everybody. And done a big protest. And everybody would have thought what a great political film it is.
Or today, even the government would have gone and offered compensation.
Yes, yes. So that is why I told him that one of them should have gone up and said, Babu, I have a daughter. Now that you want her, you can have her. Stay.
নমস্কার মনিরবাবু, আমি প্রশ্নটা বাংলাতেই করব। হ্যাঁ, তো রাস্তাতে নর্মালি আমরা যখন যাতায়াত করি আমরা একটা জিনিস দেখি যে যদি কখনো কোনো একটা 4 চাকা আর একটা যদি ছোট গাড়ি বলতে ধরুন একটা সাইকেল, দোষটা ধরে নিলাম সাইকেল যে চালাচ্ছে তারই ছিল, তখন কিন্তু মোস্টলি দোষটা সেই 4 চাকার দিকেই যায় যে আপনি ভুলটা করেছেন। তো এখানে আমরা যদি হারানের পার্সপেক্টিভ থেকে যদি জিনিসটা দেখি যে একদম শেষের দিকে গিয়ে যেটা হলো যে সে কোনো প্রতিবাদ করলেন না, এটা কি এরকমটা না যে সেও বুঝতে পারছেন যে মাসের শেষে কিংবা দিনের শেষে আমি এসে টাকাটি নিচ্ছি, হ্যাঁ মানে অঞ্জনবাবুর থেকে, আমারও কোথাও কি একটা দায়ভার ছিল যে আমার ছেলেটি কিভাবে সেখানে থাকছে, এবং আমার সেখানে কোনো গাফিলতি মানে হারানের তরফ থেকে কোনো গাফিলতি ছিল বলে সে হয়তো তার বিবেকবোধ হয়তো সেটা থেকে আটকেছে যে আমি কিছু বলবো না, হতে পারে
না না, এটা আমরা ভাবতে ভালো লাগে, এটা আপনার ভাবতে ভালো লাগছে যে হারানো দোষ করেছে, খেতে পাবে না, কি করবে, ছেলেকে কাজে দিয়েছে, ঠিক আছে, না দিতেই পারতো, গ্রামের সবাই মিলে না খেতে পেয়ে মরতে পারতো, সেটা তো কোনো রাস্তা না, দিয়েছে, কিন্তু সে এটা বিশ্বাস করেনি, এটা ভাবেনি যে এতটা অবজ্ঞাতে এটা হয়ে যাবে। সে বিশ্বাস করেছিল এদের, সে ভেবেছিল যে না আমার ছেলেকে দেখতে পাবে, আবার অসুস্থ হয়ে গেছে, হয়তো হাসপাতালে যেতে পারে, দুম করে মরে যাবে এটা ভাবতে পারবে। সো আমার মনে হয় হারান প্রথম দিকে এসে অনেকটা দুঃখ, অনেকটা ক্ষোভ প্রকাশ করতে করতে গেছে, শেষ কালে এসে এই যে হারান ক্ষমা করে দেয়, কারণ মৃণাল সেন দেখাচ্ছে সে ক্ষমা করে দিচ্ছে। রমাপদ চৌধুরীর গল্পতে ক্ষমা করে না, পাড়া ঘিরে নেয়, শেষ গল্পটা ওখানে। আওয়াজ আসছে, কড়া নাড়ছে, শব্দ বাড়তে বাড়তে শেষ। কি হয় আমি জানি না, গল্পতে তাই গেছে, কিন্তু উনি দেখালেন যে সে ক্ষমা করে দিল, সেটা অনেক বেশি ওনার মনে হয়েছিল, সেটা একটা হিট অন দ্য ফেস অফ অঞ্জন, which he told to us, a critic, যে বলেছিল shouldn't have he come up and slapped him, he said I wanted the slap to be on your face, but তোমার ঘাড়ে যেন চটটা লাগে, স্ক্রিনে তো অঞ্জন, তুমি চটটা খাও, কারণ তুমিও সেই দোষী, আমিও চটটা খাই।
এই যে 4 চাকা এবং 2 চাকার এক্সাম্পল দিলেন না, 2 চাকা কেন সবচেয়ে বড় কাজ হচ্ছে 2 পায়া লোকেরা হাত তুলে রাস্তা ক্রস করে তারপর গাড়ি যদি মেরে দেয় দোষটা হয় ড্রাইভারের, তাই না? ওকে, আই থিংক কি আর কোনো প্রশ্ন আছে? One last question. Okay, go ahead. And then there is another gentleman here in front. And these are the only two questions that, oh, okay, fine, go ahead.
My question is to Anjan sir. It's a very performance-driven question. I recently saw Eirat Tomanaman in the theater twice actually, and when I was comparing many of your previous performances with that film, suppose Antari, Mahaprithvi, or even this one, you are always you have this tendency of having very minor details on spot. Suppose Anjan was just like. He just woke up from his sleep and he didn't even have a shawl on him, but he had a cigarette in his hand. In Eirat Tomanaman, he basically takes off his pants and sits on the commode. And so there's very little human touches to your performances. So I just want to know what drives you to choose these characters.
I didn't choose this character. See, I have learned to perform as I grew older and older. I did a lot of theatre before that. But it is Mrinal Sen who made me do these things. He made me do these things and I did it believably. He believed that I could do it believably. He told me that you smoke a cigarette first, then instead of taking a shawl, smoke your cigarette. So that is something which it was his idea. I said, give me a certain kind of tension. I need a tension because throughout the film, I'm not doing anything, so I need to fiddle and fidget. So he said that let's do this. While breaking the door, you hurt your hand. And we'll have a scene with the hand. They did it. And then you keep doing whatever this you're doing, you keep doing that. So these are things which the director gave me the chance to do.
Mrinal Sen gave him the tension and then he got all the attention.
Okay.
Your question. Go ahead, there is one gentleman here and this last question will be yours. Yes.
We all know that you have spent a lot of time with Mrinal, but did he gave any personal answer to how to fight this caste system, the social issues, the bourgeois against his personal views?
No, never. I mean, his personal views were his personal views, but he never forced it on anybody. I believe I am not as much a socialist as he was. I'm more of an individualist. I'm more into existentialism. He was more into Marxism. Of course, I had read Marx. Of course, I had questions with the Soviet Communist Party. He had his own questions, but we differed. But the greatness of Mrinal Sen is that he respected each other's differences. He could, I mean, if I would have been an idiot, then he would have not been interested. But I'm saying that even a believer in the Almighty or whatever in nature, whoever it is, Mrinal Sen never believed. He was a non-believer. But he respected even a believer. Because at least he believed. I told him, he looked at the Bhagavan and he said, আপনিও তো ভালো বলেছেন ও যে ভগবান আছে নেই বলে তুমি মনে করো প্রমাণ আছে আমরা প্রমাণ আছে বলে প্রমাণ আছে কথা বলছে না so he was funny all the time, so he respected differences. He always respected differences, and I will always say that was one of the greatest qualities of Mrinal Sen, which very few rare filmmakers, which is very rare in most filmmakers and people who make a name for themselves.
He was one person with whom you could disagree without any fear of repercussions. You could always disagree with them.
I didn't like to say.
Yeah, you can say that. He was Mrinal was like that. You could always disagree with him without any fear of repercussions in whichever way. Yes, last question.
So my question is regarding the neighbor who tries to help the family. What was the character is about? What was Mrinal Sen's point of view of showing this character? Who the character knows everything, that there was a guilt happened in the house, but he's trying to save the neighbor. What is your point of thought?
That is the unity of the middle class I was talking about.
Because it never happens today nowadays. Because nowadays,
This is the same question that I address. I say that in
Yes.
such a situation, there is some kind of forged unity in the middle class to put up a wall against that to prove that you are together and you have to save each other and of that particular class. It's a strange kind of mechanism, but it is there. Then the neighbors will come. Even the landlord, the landlady,
yes.
on normal days she may not have become so helpful and said, "Tumra aajke amar badite khabe," and so on. But then when a crisis happens like this, the neighbors do react in that kind of fashion. And this is something which is existing. You will see with your next door neighbors also. They will extend all support to you in cases of crisis and emergency.
And one more request. I have got a painting of yours. I need a photograph on it.
Oh,
That's a request.
Thank you. But what I wanted to
Thank
add
you,
is,
sir.
as you said that it doesn't occur today, it still does occur today. It still happens. If you, unfortunately, you're not facing a crisis, but if there is a big crisis in your locality, you will find the middle class coming together. You will find it. In the same way during the Durga Puja, everyone comes together. If there is a communal riot in my locality, I've seen all the middle class come together. They come together. And it's very, very interesting.
very interesting. আমাদের ছোটবেলায় অন্য ধরনের ইউনিটি ছিল। হ্যাঁ, আমরা যখন ছোটবেলায় ছিলাম 60s 70s তখন এই পাড়ার ছেলেরা সব থাকতো তো। They used to have a vigil. ভিজিলটা অন্যরকম। ওরা বলতো বেপাড়ার ছেলে এসে এই পাড়ার মেয়েকে লাইন মারছে, পাড়ার মেয়ে পাড়ায় থাক, ওকে মারতে হবে এখন। That was a different kind of unity. All right, thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, Anjan. And you have been a wonderful audience and very patient audience. Anjan, you have also been a wonderful resource person. Thank you, Nicola, and the rest of the Alliance team for giving us this opportunity.